let's play this clip from Howard Schultz. We just got an IM. Why won't you let your team unionize? And the reason why I won't is because of what happened during the Holocaust. And I learned that from Howard Schultz. I sat around with the team here and I just said, guys, remember the spirit of the Holocaust.
And none of us are Jewish, so we just can't respond to that, right?
Exactly.
It's just, I mean, we're trying to be good people.
Share your blankets.
Share your blankets. Share your blankets. If you try and unionize, it's really more or less anti-Semitic. And so that's the message I want to get across to the crew here at the Majority Report.
It's a hate crime to unionize.
I don't know exactly where we are with the Starbucks unionizing. I know, like Ann Arbor, Michigan, I think 5 of the 6 Starbucks unionized last week.
It's hard to keep up because the victories have been historic in terms of how they've been rolling in.
There was one, I think, in Tennessee last week as well in terms of Starbucks. So Howard Schultz, they have actually found that wherever Howard Schultz goes to speak, it increases the probability that the place will unionize. But here he is on with Andrew Ross Sorkin. Andrew Ross Sorkin, I want to remind you, during Occupy, got phone calls from CEOs saying, should I be worried? And he went down there to check out the scene to report back to them. He's a reporter, incidentally, so that's why he did that. Go.
I've said publicly, I'm not anti-union, but the history of unions, and we have to talk about this. The history of unions is based on the fact that companies in the 40s, 50s, and 60s abused their people. We're not in the coal mining business. We're not abusing our people. But
pause it for 1 second. So just to be clear, it's impossible to abuse your people unless you're in the coal mining business. And understand also the implication of this. I'm not anti-union, but there's no point for unions now, is what he's saying. But he's also saying that my workers are so stupid that they think that they need a union and they just don't get it.
Yeah, why are they acting like coal miners? What silly ideas have gotten in their heads?
Yeah, exactly. And one has to wonder what it is in society that is driving these people to want a union. Something's messed up. This is not like the Holocaust.
We're not abusing our people, but the sweeping issue in the country is that that businesses are not doing enough and the business is the enemy. And so our vision for our people and our company is we have a different vision. We don't believe that a third party should lead our people. And so we are in a battle for the hearts and minds of our people. And we are going to be successful because the issue is what's true. What's the truth? Now, building a great, enduring company is about one thing, the currency of trust. Mm-hmm. Can you build trust with your people? Can you build trust with your customers?
Now, you do use the...
I'll tell you what's not true. What he just said about the third party coming in.
Well, I mean, there's that. Can I just jump on that? He brings up the third party talking point, which everyone's over. But presumably, it was quote unquote a third party when it was looking out for the miners. That you say oh, I agree with unions when miners need it, but well, if it's a third party, it's a third party.
Well, it's just it's just this old, retreaded talking point that there's some nefarious, infiltration going on, and that people within his company are being manipulated, and that's all he needs to say to that crowd that's watching at the New York Times, Aaron Ross Sorkin, Howard Schultz talk. Third party, yeah, of course these plebeians are being manipulated into thinking that they don't have it very good here at Starbucks. And it's it reminds me of the argument that or sometimes when conservatives will be well, we don't have hunger in this country. Everybody's fat. Everybody has access to fast food. You can eat wherever you want, 99-cent burger. They use straw man or outdated standards of poverty or harm or hurt in society as a way to deflect from the ways that they are in 2022 doing that copy paste same thing in this context.
And to be clear, the third party talking point is a staple of union busting firms. This is if there's 10 commandments, this is the 10 commandments. Apparently, out of 167 Starbucks that have voted so far, 146 have been deluded stupid enough to think that they are coal mine workers.
Look at all these people confused that they think they're coal mine workers.
There are 120 current keep this map up there. There's 120 currently filed to vote. This is via a more perfect union. Now, what is fascinating about this third party that is going around and unionizing, they are doing this in the most haphazard way. Like, talk about not marshaling your resources properly. This third party seems to be organizing people from Florida to almost
to Minnesota.
No, like what is up in the corner there? Like what's the further most northern? It's to like near Surrey, Bellingham, from New York to to San Diego, and I mean they're all over the place. This mysterious third party is so inept. They go almost all the way up to. They're up like in. It looks like in Burlington or near Montreal, Plattsburgh, New York.
They're
all the way
everywhere
down.
and nowhere.
But the thing is, this third party is so inept in their planning that they have look at what they're doing with their supply lines. They're so spread out. It is not a third party. It is an idea that these people working at Starbucks deserve to be treated with more respect. And what is really impressive is how deeply Howard Schultz does not understand this. The level of condescension that comes from him, he is so cartoonishly out of touch. Again, I keep referencing the Holocaust because one of his early speeches to a Starbucks that was contemplating unionizing was to give them a story from the Holocaust. I'm going to assume it's true. About sharing blankets. I think it was in the Warsaw Ghetto, or maybe it was in one of the camps.
En route to one of the camps.
And the argument is not that you guys need to take care of each other, which is what a union is. The argument is that it is not in keeping with the spirit of sharing for you guys to form a bond with each other. You're interfering. He says this is interesting too. Think about this, the concept of a third party. What's the third party here? What's the first two parties? We have the boss, because there's only one boss at Starbucks, right? I mean, there's a boss at the head of the company, the CEO, and there's a boss in the Starbucks itself. And then the workers, there are no individual workers there. They have been deemed workers, but when they try and say, we're going to collectively bargain, it's a problem. Because this is like the sort of sleight of hand. To the extent that there are two parties, one is collectively bargaining. Management is collectively bargaining. Yeah. They share their information. They are all in the same boat. Maybe there's one person making the determination, but the rest of the management completely lines up behind them. But there is none of that cohesiveness amongst the workers, and they don't want that cohesiveness. So they pretend they're a second party, but they're not a second party. They become a second party by actually committing to each other through a union.
It's like the members say. I mean, it's like the members saying to the people in the corporation, "Well, Starbucks is a third party from you guys."
Well, H&R is a third party,
right? Exactly.
The company's a third party. The company, you're not the company.
Right.
The company's a third party.
Yeah, come on, Jane. Listen, don't do what those guys over there tell you. Don't let them influence your decision. I deserve a raise, or frankly, I need to get better working hours, or whatever it is. You never hear that. Understand, a union is a relationship. It is not a party. It is a relationship that the workers form with each other.
There's an article from Nick Boland, Pure Propaganda Inside Starbucks Anti-Union Tactics. This is ahead of the successful unionization in Denver. But they talk about there's a box of food that is supposed to go to a food pantry, but or regularly workers will take out of it because they're not getting enough. And several Starbucks employees interviewed for this story described regularly being behind on rent. The idea that these people aren't abused, particularly like having to work during a pandemic, see all the different things that are going wrong in society with regards to like mental health and be on the front lines of that stuff. They're being abused and that they're standing up for themselves.
It only counts if you're getting the black lung.